Said Greg. Back with the Lake Show. LeBron has been with the Lakers on the road trip and continues to stay active with the team, even on the sidelines after the win in Orlando. Dennis Schroeder talked about what the team's taken away from LeBron's time on the sidelines.
Without him, of course, I handle the ball more. But I think we all, like KCP's aggressiveness changed, but he can't change it when LeBron comes back. And that's what we've been talking about, and that's what, LeBron's saying to us as well, like, guys, when we, playing, we got to all be aggressive like that. So I can't wait that he comes back. He always tells me, Dennis, you got to be aggressive. You're not just a normal point guard. You do your and we really excited, to get started again with him soon, and then, like I said, we're gonna be ready.
What do you know about LeBron's sort of what he's been able to do on the court? He posted a video to social media, obviously, this morning. What have you kind of seen from him, and what makes you say LeBron's coming back soon?
I know, but it's probably the Lakers organization who gonna tell you guys. He's close. I can tell you that much. So we can't wait for him to get back, help us, win games again, and be together, at the right time with like 10 games in, 11 games in, and then, like I said, get to work.
Brez, I'm going to ping pong some questions here, one to you and one to Bill. One thing we know about LeBron is when he does come back, he immediately impacts the way the game is played. Because it's a high ankle sprain, is there concern on your end?
Yes, only because, like AD, LeBron's not been able to really stay in cardio shape, you would assume. You can't be pounding out miles on a treadmill with a bad hoof. You can't even be like doing some biking necessarily, or elliptical, or anything really. So you have to wonder how his wind is at this point. It's been a little over a month. Just want to see how he looks physically when he does come back. We'll see if Schroeder is right. My personal prediction is Sunday against Toronto makes sense, because then you have a tough couple games coming up. Monday against Denver and Thursday against the Clippers next week.
And Bill, I think he brings up a good point about the inability to do cardio for probably most of this time period during the injury. And one thing we do know about LeBron, Bill, is he puts a lot of effort, time, and money into that body. I want to ask you this. How long do you think it takes, Bill, to get on the same page with your teammates and to find your rhythm if you're LeBron James? There's 11 games left, 19 days. What do you think?
I think it almost cuts two ways, where I feel like, he's LeBron James. So anytime I've ever cautioned that, patience is necessary, or that there's reason to just hold back on expectations, he goes and exceeds them. So I always feel bad picking that way, because I'm always wrong. But this is another case where, you don't expect a normal basketball player to come back from a 6-week absence and hit the ground running and be the same guy that he was before the injury. It takes time. And so I would not be surprised. I'm anticipating he returns with 9 games left, just like Brez predicted Sunday, if not Friday, against the Kings. But to me, that could take the rest of the regular season. It's not that long. It's 3 weeks. You haven't played in 6 weeks. It's not a lot of games. You try to work in different things each night and kind of build from there. But, I also don't expect LeBron James to come back when he's not physically feeling like he can do what he normally does. He will have, before he comes back, whenever that is, I expect him to get himself up to a conditioning level that is everything he can do, with the exception of being in an NBA basketball game. So I think that he'll hit the ground and be pretty close to LeBron, but I do think there's going to be some timing issues. I think there's going to be rhythm issues, and then just getting acclimated to some players that he hasn't played with a lot this year. He and Dennis Schroeder have only played so many games together, and then obviously with the new guys. Yeah,
the guys talked about it last night too during the postgame show with you guys about finding that on-court chemistry, and it does take time. All right, switching gears. The last time the Lakers were in Orlando, they were sipping champagne, celebrating their 17th title. They spent nearly 100 days in the Orlando bubble. Those memories obviously are forever, but what it took to get there gave some players some flashbacks, which AD talked about after the win.
When we first landed and we were driving to the hotel, Cool sent a text to our player chat and said, guys, sorry, I'm reminiscing. I just looked to the left and seen one of the rides that, he's seen for 100 straight days in a bubble out his window. And he said he just got kind of, nervous just being back here and felt like we were in a bubble all over. So, last time we were here, good things happened. So I was happy to come back and another good thing happened with the win. But now we're trying to find a rhythm to go head into the playoff with now 11 games left.
Reacting, he's talking to Mike Trudell here to what AD said. True. I saw Animal Kingdom out of my eye and got a random twitch. PTSD. Pretty funny stuff. Is there a place that you would go back to that would make you panic a bit? Is there a little place that gives you a little some shivers?
Detroit. The Lakers.
Anytime you land in Detroit,
they always seem to play there when it's like the middle of the winter. It's quiet. It's the arena used to be super far from the airport, out at the Palace. I know that's changed in the last couple of years, but it's always like a weird game.
Yeah.
The only good hotel I found there is at the airport, so I just kind of hang out at Detroit Airport for a couple of days. Really exciting times on the road.
Poly Pavilion for me. I've gotten over it, but that's where my team lost the national championship to the Bruins when I was in college. So for years I would go back there and I hated it. And I'd see that banner, but I'm trying to get through that.
Now
Bill, what about you?
Your godson plays for them.
Yeah,
you
so
have to get
I
over
have
it.
to get over it.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's over.
Got to get over it.
There's a lecture hall in the science building at the University of Montana where I took microeconomics from a tough professor named Kay Unger. It was the most difficult semester of education in my entire academic career, Kay Unger. But fortunately, I took the class pass-fail, and I did not fail.
But if you were to set foot right now in that building, you'd have some random. You'd have some.
I just turned around because this way I get at least the little bit of the fading light before dusk to help illuminate my screen. Otherwise, I've got this bright light right in my eyes. It's TV magic. I've got a desk lamp with the shade off, just pointing right into my face.
Hitchcock lighting, golden hour at the Orem House.
Stunning. I do miss a typewriter. What do you have, like a moose head in the backdrop usually too? Something like that?
It's a deer. He's right here.
Yeah.
And the typewriter can make an appearance later on in the show.
By the way, Bill, we haven't talked much. We have a few texts back and forth, but congrats to your Oregon State Beaver basketball team. Captured the hearts of many and a nice little run there.
I mean, listen, the Fightin' Tinkles were bound for greatness, obviously. Picked 12th in the Pac-12, which is not generally very good.
No.
But Oregon State made those of us who grew up supporting the orange and black very proud.
Bill, we're going to get on with our show, but great introduction to you and your family and Oregon
Fighting
State and everything that
Tinkles.
goes with it. The fighting what, Brett?
Tinkles.
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 All right. I could take that somewhere else, but I'm not going to. The Lakers picked up a much-needed win against the Magic on Monday. They are 5th in the Western Conference, 2.5 games up on the Mavs, who lost on Monday. The Lakers trailed at halftime by 6 after allowing 40 points in the embarrassing second quarter to Orlando. After the game, AD talked about mounting a comeback after leading by as many as 16.
To be able to blow that lead and then, still able to win this game, still able to figure it out on the fly, in-game adjustments and everything like that. It's a good sign. We still, competing on both ends of the floor. This team made some tough shots. It's always, tough to
struggling. And, I felt like our guys got complacent. Both sides of the ball, we stopped defending. They made 10 of their first 11 shots, and we were putting them to the line. So, that can't happen. We're fortunate enough to dodge a bullet and get the game back under control. But aside from that second quarter, played a heck of a basketball game. So pleased to get the W.
I think it was just a great team effort. I think everybody, had a defense-first mindset. We got stops, and AD got it going early. KCP. Cruise. So, we was just playing with pace, in the second quarter was a little, we got a little bit away from it, but, overall, the whole night, we was able to get stops and won, and, that's what I try to do, every time.
So the Lakers do overcome a embarrassing second quarter, and they beat the Magic. They snap a 3-game losing streak. 6 players score in double figures. AD looks pretty good. And Brez, I know You cared about the point spread. The Lakers did end up covering by a half a point. But what are you taking away besides that?
A lot of happy gamblers out there if you're Laker fans yesterday. I thought AD's third game was leaps ahead of his first two games. I thought he kind of strayed from what he normally liked to do in the first two games. A lot of mid-range, which he's good at, and even a few too many threes. But in this last game, he went in the post pretty quickly, got successful there very quickly, and indeed hit that elusive three finally late in the game. I think he'd missed his first 11 since coming back from that injury. All systems go on the AD Express. The minutes restriction also lifted before that game. That's a big deal.
Bill, I know they're not a juggernaut, the Orange Orlando Magic, but a win's a win, and it was kind of a needed win, Bill.
I think it was absolutely necessary winning. I mean, we heard Anthony Davis say the other night that these games against the Magic and the Washington Wizards are must-wins. Those are big words, especially at this stage of the season and for what we know the Lakers to be, which is a real championship contender when they're healthy. But you talk about a team that needed to kind of help start to establish its identity before LeBron James gets back on the floor. And listen, we understand that the Lakers are a much better team when LeBron James is healthy than without. I mean, it's stating the obvious, but sometimes we get caught up in the realities, prisoners of the moment, and the Lakers have struggled, and it's easy to latch onto those. But, you know, the thing that's exciting for me as you look at this Lakers team is that they seem to have figured out how to really maximize their offense out of Dennis Schroeder going forward in any minutes they play without LeBron James. LeBron's going to be back, but he's still going to have to go off the floor for a few minutes a night. The Lakers, I think, have figured out a few things, how to get the offense working with LeBron not there, and that's going to pay dividends going forward.
So glad you brought up Dennis Schroeder, Bill. 21 points, 13 of those were in the fourth quarter. Last three games, he has a double-double. He's got, 10 or more assists in 3 games in a row. 21 or more in his last 3 out of 5, Brez. I mean, he is definitely becoming a focal point of this offense, and you just hope things don't change too much when LeBron comes back. Obviously, he's going to have the ball in his hands, but as we saw last year, you're going to need another playmaker like they needed Rondo.
I give Schroeder more credit than any other Laker going back to February 14th, the night that AD got hurt. LeBron was around for another month before he got hurt. And in the meantime, you've had to add a guy like Andre Drummond. Obviously, McLemore joined the team as well, who's been there the whole time producing consistently. Schroeder, I think he's the band leader. He's the orchestra director. He's withstood a lot of different stuff thrown at him over the last 2 months, and he is really playing great basketball at this point. Like you said, 3 games in a row, double-digit assists, and the turnovers have been pretty low. That's pretty important for him. Sometimes he gets a little careless with the ball if you look at the breadth of his career, but he's playing great. Really excited to see him play these days.
You know what's nice, Brez? I can see Bill large behind you, right?
Yeah.
He's on a huge screen, and he's sipping his tea, and he's agreeing with what you're saying. So, yeah, I think everyone's agreeing on Dennis. But, Bill, I want to get to something else. So after sitting out in Saturday's loss to Mavericks, a DMP, Montrezl Harrell had a big impact coming off the bench in Orlando. 18 points, 7 for 10 from the field to go along with 5 boards and 3 steals. Here's head coach Frank Vogel on why Montrezl was so impactful after his 1-game absence.
I think we found him better with delivering him the ball in positions to score. A lot of those situations you're talking about where he didn't have big nights. Teams will do things to take him out of the game. With whether it's not helping as much on the pick and roll game or double team in the low post. We weren't seeing either of those situations tonight, and we were able to get him the ball in scoring positions. So, I don't feel like his production dipped, even if his numbers dipped. Because when he's drawing that kind of attention, it's opened up things for other guys. So, but we did a good job getting him the ball in scoring position too.
That's who you are, and how do you feel about that if that's the case?
Be honest with you, Bill, I don't know what they did last year or how their rotations went in or out the rotation, the guys they had, but all those guys you just named, I'm none of them. I'm Montrezl. I play Montrezl's game, and I do what Coach asks Montrezl to do towards the team. Like I said, same thing I've been doing all year, playing as hard as I can, doing all the little things that I can for the team to win, and just, coming to work every day. Like I said, if Coach needs me to sit at night or, anything like that, man, I've done it, as you can see, but that's not up to me. I don't have no control of that. I'm just going to focus on the things that I can control, and I've known that, I'm at my best when I do those things because, if I sit here and start racking my brain on the things I can't control or the things I don't know or what's going to happen, then I'm going to stress myself out, and it's not going to be any good for, nobody. So,
to be honest, Bill, that was a great question. And Trez did have a big night after the DMP. Did you like the answer as much as I did? What was your takeaway?
I mean, listen, it's not an answer that's going to, send talk shows into a frenzy, because he didn't really take the bait, right? There's an opportunity there if you are dissatisfied or you're not really happy. Harold has really, comported himself well in this situation. He said all the right things. I think you can say the same of Marc Gasol as time has gone on. And so, I still think that this is something to watch. The Lakers have really asked their big men to be really flexible with their role over the last couple of years. And we saw when it was matchup specific in the playoffs, Markieff Morris was the guy, and Dwight Howard and JaVale were just cheerleaders. And I know it's different personnel this year, but with the way these guys play, the different styles of play they have, there just isn't enough time to go around. And so I think we're going to see that situation again. But everybody has indicated that they're on board, and I think a lot of that has to be credited to Frank Vogel for his communication. And he's talked a lot about how he almost over communicates in these situations. So something to watch, but so far not an issue.
Bill, if you were the paid publicist, would there be a few more puns in his answer?
I mean, I think I could spice those up a little bit. I think we could. I think we could work in a little wordplay for Trez.
Trez, JaVale, and Dwight. I'm glad Bill brought them up. They were the guys last year. Dwight had his moments in that Denver series, of course, going up against Jokic. Who's the odd man out this year? I mean, everyone's got to be ready, but if you just had to guess right now who the odd man is.
I think what we saw last night is kind of the template in the playoffs for the Lakers, Drummond, and then Trez. And I think Marc Gasol is kind of the guy who's going to be sitting outside waiting for the window to open for him. And I think there will be times, maybe a few minutes left in the playoff game, Lakers down 8. You need a big to you need someone to check a big on the other team. And you bring in Gasol to hopefully play good D and make some threes, kind of bring the Lakers back from a medium-sized deficit. But Trez last night reminded me of Dwight Powell, the game earlier when Trez sat out. Very high energy, very high efficiency, not afraid to attack the basket. I always loved Trez's shot charts, too. Everything in the restricted area, rarely anything outside of it.
All right, guys, still to come, LeBron.
I want to start with Schroeder. I mean, he had 13 points in the fourth quarter, 10 assists, third game in a row where he's had double-digit in the helper category. You got to be liking his game right now.
He's a double-double monster. Most of the time we talk about rebounds, but he's doing it in assists. If you look at his game, overall, there's probably nothing missing in his game. He can play good defense, and on the offensive, he's starting to knock down the 3-ball. He can get to the hole, finger roll you, teardrop. But my thing I like the best is he comes off that pick and roll, gets to the elbow, and knocks down that free throw line jumper with a lot of consistency. And that's what you want out of a guy who can score at any place on the court.
Another guy who had a big game, Montrezl Harrell. Remember, he sat out the previous game. Frank Vogel went with Marc Gasol instead of Trez. Last night, it was the opposite. Trez back in the game, strong. Did not miss a lot of shots, tough down low. What do you think about him these days?
This is the thing about Trez when you're playing young guys. Young guys don't understand the strength of certain players. And Trez is that guy. You look at him, he doesn't look, all ripped up and stuff, but he plays with a strength and a ferocity like no other. When he gets in that paint, it's hard to stop him. One bounce, go up, dunk on you. 2 bounce, jump hook. There's so many things he can hit you with in the paint. And young guys haven't seen guys like that much, so he can just really dominate with his strength and his ferocity.
And a lot of eyes on Anthony Davis, his third game back from that injury. Showed some pretty good stuff. Even made a 3 in that fourth quarter. What'd you like about him last night compared to the first 2 games?
The third time is a charm, so to say, because when he came out in that first half, he was rolling. He did everything. He had a free throw line jumper. He had a spin move with a little drop step. But the move that really impressed me the most was in the second half where he went and got his own rebound and went up and dunked on everybody. That's a sign that he's getting more confident in his game. And I know he was happy to make that 3. And I know everybody at home was also, because that means his legs are under him. Those first 2 games, everything was short. But now that was a switch. I mean, his legs are under him. It's just going to get better from here.
Everybody is talking about the seeding, Chase. Lakers, will they be 5? Will they be 6? They don't want to fall to 7. How much does it matter to you? And by the way, they got some winnable games coming up against Washington, Toronto, and Sacramento.
I think, for me, they need to be in the 4-5 seed. And I just like it that way because I look at the people who potentially could play. I think they match up better. I know James is a big believer in it doesn't matter who you play. But sometimes when you're in a situation like this and you had guys out, you got new addition, you want as many games as you can get to get a rhythm. Because I don't think the Lakers' rhythm is there yet because AD is just getting back in his rhythm. And we haven't even added the King yet. When the King get back, how does the King play with AD? Not the AD that we all know and love because he won as a champion, but the AD Drummond. That Drummond, the Penguin. So I want to see that rhythm, what he get with that. And plus, you know, we talking about Drummond, but we do have a sharpshooter on the team now, Ben McLemore. So there's a lot of different things that can come into play and how LeBron fits with all those guys.
You led me to my last question for you, Rob. LeBron, you know, posted kind of a coy message on social media yesterday, coming to a city near you. It's going to happen. When is he coming back, and what is that going to look like for this team?
Since he is a Laker, a city near you, I'm saying that's going to be the next home game. Ooh. And if you watch how he was running in that video, you know, I'm a big believer in body language. He didn't look good. He looked about 85 to 95% in that video because he had a little gimp in that run. So you have to really examine that with a good eye. You can see that. But I hope he gets back 100. He gets back soon. I know we talked about it before, how many games you want him to play. I have to agree with James, about 5 or 6 games to come back and play and get a rhythm, not for him, but for the players around him so they can learn how to play with the King.
Great stuff as always. Sitting with the guy who's always 100.